published to the Hi everyone, welcome to Central Coast Community Energy's request for proposal for locally sited front-of-the-meter distributed energy storage projects. My name is Christopher Matos. I am the Manager of Energy Contracts and Compliance at Central Coast, and I am joined by my colleagues Anamika Singh and Jeremy Clark. Today, we're just going to be going over the RFP and answering any of your questions as it relates to the RFP. Feel free to ask about some of the terms in any of the appendices as well. If we don't have an immediate answer to your questions, we will provide follow-up feedback at a later time. So an overview of this presentation, we're just going to go over the objectives, the process and schedules, what we're looking for, our locally cited requirements, submissions process, the evaluation, scoring, and ranking, what it'll look like once projects have been shortlisted, and then answer any of your questions. But feel free to submit those questions as I'm going through this. We'll keep track and they will stop me so I can answer them. As you know, Central Coast was a community choice aggregator established in 2017. It has an A credit ranking from S&P. We currently serve residential, commercial, and industrial customers located within the unincorporated areas of Monterey, San Benito, Santa Barbara, Santa Cruz, and the cities of Arroyo Grande, Capitola, Carmel, Delray, Oaks, Gonzales, Greenfield, Grover Beach, Guadalupe. It's a long list. So in 2021, we'll begin serving the unincorporated areas of Santa Barbara, as well as the cities of Carpinteria and Goleta. Our goals for this RFP are to increase grid reliability and improve local resiliency, basically getting new distributed storage projects built within the Central Coast service territory, adding more energy storage capacity to the grid to alleviate the duck curve, and dispatching our renewable energy resources during the net peak hours of 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. This will help us reduce costs as it relates to our resource adequacy and help us become innovators in clean energy planning. This RFP the process is pretty much posted on the website and has been disseminated by email. If you haven't gotten access to that email, please just shoot us, or if you haven't been part of these updates, please just make sure to add comments in the chat and we will make sure to add you. We issued the RFP on November 1st, and y'all can submit questions up to January 15th, and we'll try and get back to you to our PS solicitations email. Proposals must be submitted by January 30th at close of business Pacific time. After that, we're going to review and rank the proposals, and then reach out to top scoring proposals to enter into contract negotiations. The negotiation and execution of this, we're going to begin with limited energy storage agreement negotiations with full toll. So we'll allow for the negotiation of certain things that relate to the technology and its performance. But in general, we're going to ask that you restrict your edits to the ESA, and that's mostly because we plan on having an ESA that's going to have very friendly terms and very friendly off-ramp capability in the event there are problems with distribution capacity or even the site. The schedule, as posted to the website, issued November 1st. The webinar is today. The final list of sites will be published by December 15th, although I expect it's not going to be that different from what we've already published. You may submit questions up until, should say the 15th. Responses will be provided no later than the 21st, and the deadline to submit will be the 31st. Any clarifications we will do subsequent to that. We have two types of proposal options. One is an ESA or full toll, where it's a standard ESA. You will own the site, but we will be the scheduling entity and take all of the product off of it. Type 2 will be a build transfer arrangement where after completion of construction, Central Coast will purchase the facility outright from you. The requirements of these are both going to be pretty similar. We're going to do grid charging front of the meter, energy storage projects interconnected at the distribution system. We're looking for capacity, energy, ancillary service, and RA counting rights. The project must be located within Central Coast's service area. At a minimum, specific or at a minimum, potential sites in storage technology and capacity must be identified with submission. COD is no later than December 31st, 2026 with a minimum of 10 years. We prefer to be the scheduling coordinator, and pricing will be on a KW basis with no escalator. Minimum discharge of 4 hours and a capacity of no less than 1 megawatt, but no more than 5 megawatts per project. You can submit a variety of projects to a single site. So just because, or if you see options between 1 and 5, you're more than welcome to submit more than one type of project to a site. Just to be upfront about this and from the get-go, good faith effort must be made for 50% local labor and labor must be compensated at the prevailing wage rate. The BTA is not that different, except mostly in pricing and COD and maintenance. COD will be the same, but we're going to ask for a minimum of 5 years of maintenance services, as well as nominal dollars for the price of transfer of ownership upon achieving commercial operation. As we said earlier, and as I listed off, the locally sited requirement includes all of Central Coast service area. This can be sites that you've provided or sites that we've provided in our at least initial site list. We plan to scatter them throughout the service area. So just because a project doesn't make it in time or in the first iteration doesn't mean it won't be picked up later. Our sites are member agency sites, but we are open to considering any developer offered sites so long as they are still within the Central Coast service area. The required documents are listed on the RFP website, Appendix A, which is the completed offer form, identifying type 1 or type 2 proposals. Appendix B has our proposed ESA term sheet. I do expect to have at least a draft of our standard form ESA in the next 2 weeks, and we'll distribute out to you guys for at least comment and preparation, as well as Appendix C, completed project specifications and an executive summary. This is all again due on or before January 31st, 2022 at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So RFP evaluation process is going to be fairly straightforward. Compliant proposals are going to be reviewed by Central Coast staff and ranked according to quantitative and qualitative assessments. So basically both how they perform operationally as well as how they fit within our portfolio of resources. And then top scoring proposals will be evaluated on expected performance and portfolio needs. These results, the highest value resources for Central Coast will be shortlisted and selected proposals will be contacted to enter into negotiating agreement. Once we let you know that you've been shortlisted, the following are going to be due: an exclusive negotiating agreement, an executed non-disclosure agreement, and the receipt of the required bidder deposit of $3 per kW for the project size. If you need more time, let us know. You can request up to 7 days as an extension to that period. And now, any questions and answers? Appendix C should have been there as part of the main RFP, Caitlin, but I will double check that on the website for you. But it should be it should be in the main RFP file. Yes, this is being recorded. It's open to any company, provided that if you have not gone through the pre-qualification process, there is a section of Appendix A that new companies will need to submit as part of their offer, and that's basically a background section. The energy storage, the principal use case we're looking for is increased resiliency, but also we do value the RA products that can be out of it very highly. The energy itself is going to be also considered into that, but definitely RA eligible resources are going to be prioritized. Some sites do have technology restrictions, but we are technology neutral. And we can do a better job, I think, of clarifying that. If you'd like for us to, I can get back with you on that one. 1 cycle per day. I'm not sure.
Chris, this is Jeremy. I just wanted to kind of expand on the use case for the energy storage as well. Like Chris stated, it will be used for energy arbitrage and resource adequacy. But there's also a good chance that it will be used for regulation capabilities as well.
And I should also add, we are interested in microgrid and grid islanding capability from that. So those projects that can get into CMET are also of particular interest to us. The developers, so at this time, Central Coast is not going to be the entity in which you will lease land from. We intend to facilitate the negotiation for land for at least member agency sites between you guys and our member agency when a project is selected. I think I answered the CMAP question, but if not, feel free to let me know or email power solicitations. All sites are available for energy storage, and you may propose your own sites or use the ones that we have provided. We are not ranking them any higher or lower at this time. That's not to say during subsequent iterations of this process, we will or we won't prioritize those sites that we list. I can get back with you on the SC question. The direction that we've had from it is we're going to be the SC, and it's preferable, but there may be, if there's a good case as to why you should be the SC, we're happy to hear it. Sites should be assumed 0 cost lease rate at this time. I will have to get back to you on the data question, Caitlin. And the power bills, I mean, us as scheduling entity, I think what we would do is we would invoice you for any backfeed power that relates to station use, and then the energy power as it relates to energy arbitrage or resources, that'll be on us, but I will confirm that too. I think the appendix accounts for a loss factor or a degradation factor. So that would just be part of the proposal and the evaluation of the overall project viability, because your capacity and megawatt hours, well, your capacity at least, right? That's going to change over time depending on the type of project and the cycling. The cycling isn't assumed to be 1 cycle per day, but I can see a world, since this is a technology neutral RFP, where that changes.
Chris, someone just noted that they're not able to see the questions. So we'll make sure that we post all the questions and answers that have already been addressed to our website. And then I guess moving forward, we'll make sure we read the questions before we respond.
Yeah. And then does the battery need to be new? I don't think so if you have a pre-built battery, but bear in mind it will be competing against new resources, and that's going to play out on the project economics.
Yeah, and I just want to add one more comment to that about the battery being new. We will consider existing builds. I think a preference goes to new just because we do have a midterm reliability requirement that we must meet. And the plan was to use these new builds to help meet that requirement.
Will you share interconnection info related to your selected sites to bidders? I don't believe we plan on doing much of the interconnect. Our hope is that you guys will do the interconnection and capacity studies, understanding too that our ESA will acknowledge that if there is not much, or if there is not sufficient capacity at the site, we will allow you to off ramp at no cost. Costs of interconnection always vary from site to site in terms of what upgrades it may trigger. Great ways to reduce that cost too is to participate in the CMEP or CMEP program. Well, the CMEP program, but we don't have an estimated cost of interconnection at any specific site now. And no, we have not done initial analysis of proposed sites as far as interconnection capacity. That's also something that we're leaning on you guys to do with your proposal. So our member agencies have agreed to these sites that we've provided in advance with the understanding that they will be used for energy storage. We are going to try and work by providing counsel and standardizing a lot of the terms for the lease arrangement. But these sites were offered by member agencies, not by Central Coast on its own. So, and that was in response to providing more details on member agency facilitation by 3CE and how we will help connect the projects and site leases. So each round is what are the total megawatts being procured in this round versus future rounds to achieve the desired 100 megawatts, right? We're going to maximize our contracting amount at 25 megawatts for this round. Whether we will get there or not, that's a fair question. This is our first go through on it. In terms of 10 years, would a 15-year or 20-year be acceptable? Yes, you may submit a 15 or 20-year proposal. Will the member agency that provides the land have use of the BESS during emergency outage? Because it's front of the meter, member agencies or even Central Coast don't control the actual operations of a battery storage facility during emergency outage. That would be subject to whatever the distribution operator would be. Unless we're operating under a microgrid tariff, in which case, again, it's still operated or it's still sort of dispatched and operated according to whatever PG&E or SCE might do. What are the site requirements? Polars around equipment, vegetation around equipment. For the what are the site requirements, pollards around equipment, vegetation around equipment, I will get back to you on that question. I'm sure that might be site specific. What role under the CMEP would 3CE expect to take? We're looking at partnering with you guys on this. So that's a great question in terms of, I think what exactly that looks like from project to project is going to vary a little bit. We plan to, support you in your filing or in your application and filing for CMET and operating under the CMET tariff. But this would be sort of a first time for both of us, and I think we would be figuring out. So I just want to emphasize that when we're looking at the microgrid portions of this in particular, it is not what's going to make or break a project, but it is something that we're desiring to do for our member agencies and that we are ultimately looking for partners on. Will the bidder be able to decide if the battery is set at the facility or if I'm not sure I understand this question exactly. Will the bidder be able to decide where the battery is set at the facility, or does the facility have the final say? My assumption is it's going to depend on your configuration and your relative ability to interconnect to the distribution grid. So I think that's more of a technical question that's going to vary from site to site, which I assume would default to what the bidder says. How many cycles per day? 1. Does the capacity in megawatt hour need to be kept over a period of time? Degradation factor is accounted for in the project submission. I think I have answered all the questions that have been posted thus far. If I haven't, would you mind retyping your question? And I'll be sure to get to it. Going once. Twice. All right. Thank you everyone for participating in this webinar today. Oh, there we go. Will any load data be provided? These storage facilities aren't being tied directly to any load because they're front of the meter, not back behind the meter. So no. Once. Twice. All right, guys, but if you have any additional questions that come up throughout this process, you feel free, obviously, to email power solicitations. If you've submitted, our bidder is expected to have submitted an interconnection application. Again, if you have a project in the works where you have an interconnection application going through and you have firm details on it, that's definitely going to help your project in submission, but we're not going to require it, no. And that's just, I do want to remind the ESA that we contemplate, the reason we want it to be minimally negotiable is because we understand that we may get into this process and that there might be serious limitations at the distribution level for interconnection. And it's also why on the RA products, we've offered sort of 2 ways to go about it. One that uses I think it's the WDAT process. I'd have to confirm the exact terminology again, but basically it's a temporary product that you renew every year, and then the actual deliverability study that you do through the CAISO. All right, thank you everyone for participating today. As I said, if you have additional questions, especially as they relate to the RFP, please send them to Power Solicitations. We will post those questions if they are very general and relate to the RFP to our website with the rest of the questions that are going to be answered and addressed here. So thank you for your time, and I hope everyone has a great day.